Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? Another Thursday, another Rubber Duck Thursday, and we've got some fun stuff in store today. If I'd be biased, of course, it's always going to be fun. But we're going to carry on a bit of work with Copilot Coding Agent today, is what I was thinking. So, got a couple of projects that, I've used in the past, I've worked on in the past, and I was looking through them and noticed one of them had some Copilot custom instructions, but they're kind of old, so could be a good activity for us to update them. Doesn't have any of the Copilot setup step stuff. And then I've actually been working on something this morning just before going live that I wanted to show you all that I thought was kind of cool with some of the new stuff that has come out with Copilot Coding Agent as well. So that's the plan for today. But of course, we'll start off like we normally do. Always love to know where you're tuning in from, what are you working on, and how are you kind of using all of these amazing tools that we have. So let me know. Always love to... It's a snake with these green dots. So yeah, we have made GitHub-themed snake games, by the way, Muzamil. So yeah, we have done that, but I know what you mean on that kind of load-in screen, right? So yeah, maybe there's something we can do there. But anyway, folks, let me know where you're tuning in from. Let me know what you're working on, because I always love hearing and taking that inspiration as well. And if we can go in the direction of some of the things that you're working on. So yeah, let us know. Please share in the chat. Please share in the chat. So let me have a look at the chat meanwhile. So good morning, Vikas. Hello, Vikas. Hello, Kanav. Hey, Kevin, of course. I know you'll be live later, so thanks for tuning in. Good morning, Anurag. Good morning, Davi. Hi, Vatsal. Yes, Kevin. Over in Berlin, yesterday it was 37 degrees Celsius. Today it rained while you were out in shorts. Here in the UK, I think we reached about 32 degrees or 33 degrees, at least in where I live. And in the UK, I know you'll know this, Kevin, but for others who don't, we have the kind of heat where it's very humid and it's just not very pleasant to be in at all. So Monday and Tuesday were just absolutely horrible. Like, it was so hot, it was so humid. But today and yesterday, fortunately, it's cooled down a lot here. So hopefully better for everyone else as well, because I know we've had a bit of a heat wave around. So hopefully you're all doing okay with that. Let's see. Oh wow, lots of chats coming in here. Vatsal, you're working on a website. Cool. How are you building it? What are you building? Is it kind of homegrown? So you're using like JavaScript, HTML, and React and that kind of thing? Or are you building like a static site with like Hugo or Gatsby or that kind of thing? Let us know. I've got my own website as well that I use for my kind of personal blog and stuff. Have that running on Hugo. I'm personally a big Hugo fan. I've used it for many years now. But yeah, always interested to see what tools everyone's using, because this is how we learn, right? Is just learning from each other. So yeah, let us know. If you want an inferior version of this stream, come join me later. No, Kevin. Not inferior by any means. It will be absolutely amazing. I look forward to seeing what you're building later. So spoiler alert for anyone who is planning on joining later. We've got a few streams later today. Kevin will be doing one, I forget exactly what time it will be, but take a look at our YouTube channel. It'll be 2 p.m. Eastern time, I guess. But I'm not good at time zones conversions, so go and take a look. And Kevin will be building a party game, which will be kind of interesting. So we've built a few games on this kind of morning stream. We built the GH-game CLI extension for the GitHub CLI. We also built a few GitHub-themed games in a React kind of web app as well a little while ago. So we have a very strong game theme here. I think it's because we just like having fun. Maybe. That's what I'll put it down to. So go and take a look at that later. Right, let's take a look, see who else has joined us. Michael, good morning, afternoon from Abu Dhabi. Madalena, hi. Vatsal, is there a Zoom link? No, there is no Zoom link. So I'm just reading from the chat, which kind of gets aggregated because we're streaming to three different places. We are streaming to YouTube, we are streaming to LinkedIn, and we are streaming to Twitch. So if you're not seeing other people's chats comments, that's why. It's not like we have a secret Zoom room or anything like that, or Google Meet or anything, or Teams or whatever. We are just streaming, so what I see on my screen is the chats aggregated from everywhere else. So you are not missing out, don't worry. But if you're interested in what other people are saying, take a look on our LinkedIn feeds, take a look on our Twitch channel or YouTube channel, and you'll be able to see what everyone else is saying there as well. So hey Bugov, hey Vivek, good morning Farah, good morning Ravula, Benji, good afternoon. Bandwanaza Patel, good afternoon. Kamalaf, hi. Shafik, good morning. That's all, you don't like YouTube. That's fine. Well, we've got LinkedIn, we've got Twitch as well, if you prefer, so feel free to join those there. It's cold in Australia. I expect so, because it's winter for you all now in Australia, I guess. Although cold in Australia, I imagine, would still be warmer than here in the UK. So, the wonderful thing about different climates and time zones and things. And yeah, exactly. Thanks, FlameDev. The stream is running on LinkedIn as well. Is Eduardo here? I don't know who Eduardo is. Maybe? Is Eduardo with us? I don't know. Let me know, Madalena. Because I don't actually see who's here. I just see the names pop up in chat. So let me know. Oh, wow. With recent cyclone weather. Huh. Well, hopefully you're all doing okay, Vatzel. Kevin, you've just implemented an RPG campaign and character generator, which consumes prompt YAML files, which you set up earlier. Amazing. I know you're doing a lot of work on the models side with the prompt YAML files. So, yeah, keen to hear more about that at some point. Maybe you can talk about it on the stream later too. Vatsil, you're using Framer. Okay, I haven't used Framer, so I would need to dig into that a bit more, learn a little bit more about that. Percival, hi. Christian, hey, you gorgeous bunch of devs. Well, of course, we have an amazing, beautiful community here, so good morning. Hi, Ramazan. Hello, I don't see your name. I just see LinkedIn user. So hello from Belgium, working on my .NET development skills with CI/CD on GitHub. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Let's see. Hey, are you attending the We Are Devs in Berlin next week? Bhargav, I am not. However, there are some colleagues who will be there as well. So if any of them are tuned in, I'll let them comment if they'll be there. But there will be some of my colleagues there as well. What are your projects in this live, Benji? We will come to that very soon. So hang in there, and we will have a look at that very shortly. If you want to lose your friends, then party games are great. Hello from France, Lille, Tour de France, starting block. Ah, great, Anis. Welcome. Leander, hi. Yeah. Currently working on a Blazor app, creating an EHR system, booking appointments, doctors, registrations, OPDs. On the AI side, we're trying to book the appointments via chatbot written in Python on top of GPT-4.1 and interact with our APIs as well. Amazing, Kanav. That is a great stack there. So I hope you're having fun with that. Sarah, good morning from Birmingham. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Good afternoon from Nepal, apparently. Hey, Kushal. Good afternoon, Special Broccoli from Zimbabwe. Good to have you back with us. Greetings. How's the weather today? Vinit, it's much more pleasant. A few days ago, I would not have been saying that. So it's much more pleasant today. Thank you. Amazing. Thanks for the comment, Giancarlo. I appreciate that you love the energy. Interesting. Sounds like you're working on some interesting stuff there. Using NA10 framers similar to Figma. Okay, interesting. Builds a smart workflow using NA10 that fetches email attachments, extracts and passes calendar. Cool. So I'm seeing a lot of AI work that people are working on. Australia Pacifica Open Championships for First Robotics. That's interesting. Has anyone tried the new GitHub Secure Code game? I just learned of it recently. I want to give it a go soon. Yeah, so that's an interesting one, actually, Dylan. One of our colleagues, Joseph, has worked on that, and yeah, new season, a new series of that has come out. So great work there to Joseph on that. So definitely encourage you to try that out. Morning from Austria, and that's all. What are we working on today? So, a few things. I have a GitHub action that I built a while ago that I realized I haven't really set up well for Copilot coding agents. So I'm going to do some work on that. Also want to show you something I was doing this morning, updating the UI on another kind of personal project that I've got. So those are the two things we're going to be working on today. Before we do any of that, we will do our usual approach, our usual kind of thing that we do here, which is we will be we will be taking a look at the recent updates that have come from GitHub. So taking a look at the changelog and seeing all the amazing stuff that the team has been releasing. So with that, let me just scroll down on my screen. There we go. So we get to the right place. And now I will share my screen so you can all see it. And let me zoom in a bit because that's a little difficult to see, I guess. There we go. We'll go super zoomed in so it's nice and visible if you're on a phone or anything like that. Christoph, hello from Poland. We have the warmest day in 2025, 24 to 38 degrees. Ouch. That is hot. See, stay rested, stay indoors probably, or in the shade at least, and look after yourself there as well. Okay, so let's have a look at what has come out since last week. So Copilot Coding Agent, we've been talking about a bit here, is now available for Copilot Pro users in public preview. So if you have that if you don't get access through your work, so you're not using Copilot Business or Copilot Enterprise, great news. You can now get access to Copilot Coding Agent through Copilot Pro. And actually on July the 1st, it's also been available for education students and educators or open source maintainers as well. So those who might get access to Copilot Pro as well as part of some of the benefits of those programs. So good news there, accessible for more people. So this will be even more relevant if you've got a Copilot plan today. So definitely take a look at that. GitHub Actions fine-grained permissions are now generally available for custom repository roles. So fine-grained permissions, generally available, can be used to define custom repo roles. Last year, GitHub introduced CI admin role, the CI/CD admin role, predefined org role that grants comprehensive permissions. Great. So basically getting more granular permission assignments there, which is good to see, particularly if you're in that enterprise kind of space and you care about governance, etc. Deprecated cohere models. I still don't know if I say that right. Is it cohere? Is it cohere? Am I just really off base? Let me know. If you know the authoritative answer, let me know. But anyway, following models are now deprecated. So Command R, go and use Command R 08 to 2024. Command R plus, go and use Command R plus 08 2024. So still available, just go and use the more updated version of the model is effectively the answer there. And if you haven't used GitHub models, definitely give it a go. It's a place where you can go and experiment with models that you might want to go and integrate into your own applications. So helping you bring AI into your applications. You can go and iterate on prompts. You can go evaluate prompts and things like that as well. So it's a really good kind of test bed for that kind of stuff. So yeah, go and take a look at that. Right, deprecated Llama models in GitHub models. So similar kind of deal here. Meta Llama 3 70B instruct. Now go use Llama 3.3 70B instruct. Meta Llama 3 8B instruct. 3.1 8B instruct. And then Meta Llama 3.1 70B instruct. Go use Llama 3.3 70B instruct. So again, go use the more updated versions of the of those models there. Improved pull request file change experience now in public preview. So I've had this for a while. It's great. Like, it's better from an accessibility perspective. I know the team put a lot of work into that. Faster diff rendering with significantly lower memory usage as well, and a load of UX improvements there as well. So pending comments shown in the review submission panel, local draft comments persist across page refreshes. Those nice quality of life updates, seamlessly switch between split and unified views, etc. So um, yeah, once it's available to you, you'll see a link there to try the new experience on that page. So click that, and then you can go and toggle back and forth between those there. So great, good to see that quality of life update. What else have we got? Upcoming breaking changes for GitHub Actions, removal of larger hosted runners from self-hosted API. I think that makes sense. The Org's Actions Runner API currently shows self-hosted runners and individual larger hosted runner instances. As of July 3rd, we will no longer show larger hosted runner instances. At that point, that API will only be used to show self-hosted runners. Okay. Good to know. Hey, Sammy. Good to see you with us. Sorry you're late. You made the mistake of scheduling a job interview for 10 a.m. Well, good luck. That is exciting news, Sammy. Good to hear that. And fingers crossed, hope it all went well. And, you are never late. You are always welcome, whatever time you can drop in. Even if you can drop just for a few minutes, always welcome. You know this, being one of our regular viewers. So good to have you with us, Sammy. Right, what else have we got? GitHub Copilot and Xcode explore with Copilot Vision, custom instructions, and local response support. Local response support? Let's see. Copilot Vision, so you can upload images. You can add images directly into Copilot chat, screenshot of an error, etc. Custom instructions. That was one of the things I did miss working in Xcode, was it didn't really follow the instructions. So now that support is there. So great to see that. Locale responses support now supports locale aware responses. Manually set your preferred language in the Copilot for Xcode settings to receive replies that match your development language. Aha! So that's what it means. Okay, I wasn't quite interpreting right what I was doing, so now I get it. Cool. Good to see that. Good to see that. Copilot search is now on GitHub Docs. Kind of self-explanatory. Managing cost centers via API is now available. So if you're using the new billing capabilities extensively, great news. You can now manage cost centers through the API. Code QL support for Rust is now in public preview. I know that's made a lot of people very happy. Dependabot supports configuration of a minimum package age. Yeah, this one's cool, actually. So if you've got a policy or like an internal kind of approach where you're like, right, we won't use a package until it's at least like a week or a month or however long holds, you can now say what that kind of cooldown period is that you want it to be released before Dependabot will try and add it for you. So that was a really nice addition, I thought, actually. Really liked seeing that one. And another big one, I know for a lot of people, single pull request for Dependabot. And I don't mean like we have today, that you can have a pull request per ecosystem. A single pull request across ecosystems. So one pull request for doing all of your your NPM stuff with your JavaScript, for your action stuff, for your Python, etc., is there. I don't know if it's limited to certain ecosystems, actually. It doesn't look like it from what I can see. But yeah, great to see now that you can have that one PR to bring it in. So it really helps you accelerate, bring those dependencies up to date there. So great to see that. Dependency auto submission now supports NuGet. So for our .NET friends who are working, some of you mentioned .NET already, some of you mentioned Blazor. Good news there. Manage artifact attestations with deletion, filtering, and bulk actions. Great. Secret scanning adds validity checks for Doppler and defined networking. So expanding the validity checks. Delegated alert dismissal for code scanning is now generally available. We looked at delegated alert dismissals a couple of months back when secret protection came out. Similar kind of scenario in code scanning. If you have that enabled, It means that any user can't just go and dismiss the alerts anymore. They have to request the approval from someone who has the authority to go and do that. So really helps from a governance perspective there. Enterprise level access for GitHub apps and installation automation APIs. So again, if you're using GitHub apps and doing a lot of that automation across your enterprise, that is a good one for you there. Copilot code review, better handling of large pull requests. Let's have a look at that. What does that mean? Around 30% of pull requests on GitHub include more than 20 files, and now we're equipped to review more of them more thoroughly. Lifted previous system limits that prevented reviews on larger or more complex files. So Copilot can now review significantly more files than typical pull requests. More complete coverage, soon including suggestions that span multiple lines of code. That's for a faster experience with large pull requests. Great. Good to see that. And finally, one that we will definitely be exploring today, Copilot Coding Agent now has its own web browser. So now, out of the box, Copilot Coding Agent has access to the Playwright MCP server, which means it can go and navigate an app and go and screenshot things and try things out. So it's been really, really cool, actually. That was something I was working on this morning that I will show you a bit later. And actually, he probably won't mind me mentioning it, but I won't name him anyway. I was working with a friend last night on a personal project he was working on to kind of manage finances and that kind of thing. And really cool scenario, because when he sets up his app, you've got to set up a username for your user, basically. And we were trying to get Copilot to make some changes to the mobile navigation, so making it more mobile friendly. Long story short, I was blown away because when I set up the issue and we got Copilot running, I forgot that he had this kind of setup step as part of his app. And before this, Copilot would have just got to that stage and kind of gone, well, I can't test this because, well, it wouldn't have even tried testing it, I guess. It would have maybe spun it up, maybe run some unit tests or something like that. But what it did is it filled out the form, for the username, and said, right, let me input the name test user. Then it created an account. Then it created some dummy data. And then it went ahead to go and find that kind of navigation item and checked it and screenshotted it and all those things. So it was really cool, actually, a really interesting experience. Yeah, it was kind of fun to see that working there. So yeah, we'll work on something a little bit similar a bit later. Or rather, I'll do a show and tell of something similar. But in the meantime, what I want to do is I want to talk about something we also tried out last week as well that you may have seen. And a bit of a reflection, actually, something kind of funny that when I was reviewing this, it's I watched the stream back. Sorry, I watched last stream. Wow, words gone, Chris. I watched last week's stream back and noticed I made a couple of mistakes. But Copilot corrected me along the way, and I didn't even notice, which was amusing. So what we've got here is we are now trying to do some fast follow blog posts when we go and run these streams. So we're trying this out. It might work, it might not work, but we're trying to do a bit of a summary of all the things that we worked on. So last week we looked at that Next.js app for Copilot Airways. We got that matching Swift UI iOS app as well. We used a code space for some of that stuff. We created a GitHub issue to build the task for localization, all that kind of stuff. And then we got the stream there. And we kind of build out what we talked about, the different sections there. So if you want a bit of a recap, that's something now that you can go and take a look at. And so what was amusing, actually, was as I scroll down here and try and zoom in, boop, there we go. I've included the prompt that I used last week. Can anyone spot anything wrong with that prompt? I can. And it's bugged me ever since. Internationalization, the number of letters, the number of characters between the I and the N is 18, not 11. It's 18. And so, exactly, Surly. Exactly. I11N isn't a thing. But amazingly, Copilot understood that based on the rest of the context of what we worked on. And so, if I just go and do that there and look back at that issue from last week, you'll notice, oops, what was that? Boop. You'll notice that when Copilot created the issue, it automatically just corrected it to I18N in the issue description and the issue title as well. So when I was reviewing the blog post, I was like, should I update that prompt? And I was like, actually, no, I'm going to keep it authentic with my mistake from last week, because actually Copilot completely understood that, hey, we meant I18N, internationalization. So yeah, that was just something fun that I noticed as I was reviewing that blog post there, as well as we were pushing it out. But yeah, this is something we're trying, having a blog post to kind of recap what we did with some of the kind of cuts from the different areas that we worked on as well. So contains all the docs, kind of links to things that we talked about as well. So yeah, let us know if that's useful, because we want to make sure that yeah, exactly, Siri. That is what I was thinking, is adding a bit of a note for that, an editor's note. Yeah, hopefully this is useful. Let us know if you do find this useful, just kind of having this kind of recap doc, because we want to make sure that we know people learn in different ways. We know people consume things in different ways, and yeah. So let us know. And actually, I should probably include a link to that, shouldn't I? Thank you, Mert, for prompting me there. How do I get to this post? You get there with that link. So I just put it in the chat. It's definitely appeared on YouTube and Twitch. If it hasn't appeared on LinkedIn, I'm not sure if these post to LinkedIn. I don't think they do. GitHub.blog/ai-and-ml. Kind of long. Maybe I should have got a URL, a short URL for this one. So I'll leave that on screen for a little bit, just so you can go and type that out and take a look at that. Sadly, the repo that I used isn't public, though. I do generally try to make sure the repos we use are public, but I've still got a bit of work to go and make that Copilot Airways app public, and just haven't been able to prioritize that at the moment. So it will come at some point, I'm sure, but I haven't had the chance yet. So feel free to kind of replicate what we did on another project there as well, if you like. But yeah, that's what we did last week. Feedback always welcome, so go and take a look at that one. All right, I'm going to give another 5 seconds on that with that link. All right. So let me jump back up to the chat first and see, because I know I definitely missed a lot of chats there. Yeah, so GitHub Education really helps students with Pro Copilot. Great to hear that, Vatsal. Are you a student yourself? Are you kind of using the GitHub Education benefits as well? Let us know. But glad to hear that. Morad, hi. I want to ask you how to build a chatbot intelligent in domain of e-commerce. Feel free to ask the question. I'm definitely not an expert in e-commerce, but maybe there's folks in the chat who can help out and bounce some ideas as well. So feel free to put your messages and your questions in chat. Don't feel like you have to wait to like some kind of question point. Like, you can tell by the vibe of this, we're very interactive, we're very relaxed, and excuse me, how we kind of run this. Hello, Johan, welcome. Bom dia from Brazil. I'm guessing that's good day. My excellent translation skills, dare I say. But Imran, welcome. Mawa, hello, everyone. Like Azure, everyone has their own version how to say it. Azure, Azure, Azure as well, actually, Christoph. So indeed. Mohammed, hello from Pakistan. Hello. And obviously, Suri, welcome again. Namaste, Navina, namaste. Shivam, hello. Lionel, hello from Cluj. Cluj? I don't know where that is. I am learning new places. October, hi from Pakistan. Hello, hello. Hey, Gabriel or Gabrielle from Ghana. October, hello. Jolly, hello from India. Rita, hello. Marash, Maharshi, hi from India. Kuiba, hello from South Africa. Afternoon from Zimbabwe. Clarence, hello from India. Wow, we've got people from all over today. Hello from India. Prince from India. Hello, Narendra from India. There's the recent. I don't see your name, by the way, on YouTube. Hello, does the recent MCP integration into GitHub Copilot solve memory and hallucination problem? I might need a bit more to answer that question, to be honest. But the MCP integrations allow you to go and effectively use additional tools. So it allows Copilot to access more tools. In terms of memory, that's kind of partly down to things like the large language model itself, which one you're using, the token sizes, all of those kind of things. And then related the kind of hallucination thing as well. Context is always important with hallucinations, though. So that's what I would say is if you're seeing hallucinations, it might imply that maybe you haven't given enough context, and you need to think about that whole context engineering side. So MCP definitely contributes into that because you're able to feed in more context. But are you being clear enough in your prompts? Are you providing the right kind of access to other files and things, all of that kind of stuff? So the maybe is kind of the answer. Silly, Ivan, Copilot is every time welcome. Akmal, hey from Sri Lanka. Falash, hey from India. Leah from Australia. Rajesh, Raj from India. Kathmandu, Nepal. Banu from Stockholm, LinkedIn user. Sorry, I don't see your name, but from India. Tala from Jordan. Greetings from Nairobi. Muchichu. Hopefully I pronounced your name correctly. Apologies if I didn't. Okay, so now we're caught up on chat. Let's talk some dev. Let's go to do some coding. So let me go and bring up my screen. Here we go, and I'm just going to quickly switch over. No, keep working. That's why I wanted to quickly switch. Oh no, I didn't get there in time. I figured I may not have done. So we'll restart the code space and we'll go from there. Okay, so what are we doing today? What are we going to work on? I have this GitHub action here that I made a while ago. I can't actually remember when I made it. Let's look at the history. Oops. Wrong button. There we go. I don't think I'm that bothered about finding out when I started it. But anyway, it was a while ago. I think it was back maybe in 2024. 2024. There we go. That's when I made that. So November of 2024. I built this validate file exists. I built a few different actions. And the reason I did that is I wanted to come up with like a baseline for a load of repositories that I was working on. So I've got one which checks the certain file exists. I've got one that checks a dependable YAML file and what, let's see, what kind of ecosystems are configured and which ones are in the project itself, in the repo, and looking for the diff to make sure you've got full coverage. And I've also got one which validates the dev container file as well. So a load of actions which just help you check the quality of some of that kind of configuration for the kind of GitHub repo itself. So what I was thinking was actually November 2024, things were a lot different back then. We had agent mode, did we? No, we had chat. I don't know if we had agent mode back then. But lots of things have changed. Copilot custom instructions was there. But if you notice, my custom instructions are pretty light. You know, I haven't got much in there. So we just talk about what the end goal is. And in fact, we don't really have a great description, to be honest. So there's a lot that we can improve in here. And equally, when we look at our workflows, there's no Copilot setup steps YAML file here either. So what I was thinking first off is we go and update the custom instructions file. Then we also go and create the Copilot setup steps, so we get that consistent environment for this. So that's what I was thinking that we work on. So there we go. Now let's go over here. So I got a code space set up already. I'm going to go and zoom in a bit so you can see that nice and easily. I've made one change. I've just added an N file, so I can go and run the local action locally. Was that right? I think no. It's been so long since I've looked at this repo properly that I kind of forgot what's in here. Oh, local action. Oh, can't type. There we go. We've got something which kind of runs the action locally to validate that it kind of works. A bit like my CI. Well, not even my CI, sorry, a bit like my local build. Think about it that way. So that's what we got there. That looks good. That all works just fine. So I'm going to start a new chat session here. And what I'm going to do first off is I'm going to go to the GitHub docs, go to Copilot, and we're going to go and have a look at coding agent best practices. There we go. So we've talked about some of these on the channel before, but yes, Matt Codes, by the way, this is live. So just to respond to you, when I see questions like that, I always want to respond to them as quickly as I can, so you know that we are live. But yeah, going back to this. So we've looked at the docs a couple of times on the channel before. But here's some best practices for helping Copilot work on tasks. So making sure your issue is well scoped, choosing the right type of tasks to give to Copilot so they're fairly well scoped in terms of that. You can use comments to iterate, for example, but one of them here is about custom instructions. And you can see here, there's a good example of custom instructions. So I'm just going to go and copy that, actually. I'm going to jump back. Oh, sorry, that was my other project that we're going to take a look at in a bit. This is what we want to look at. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to close all that down for now because we don't need that. We'll open up the chat a bit more. And we're going to say, something like, we need to update our custom Copilot instructions to be more clear, concise, and accurate in the current state of the code base. Based on the code, please can you take the Copilot instructions, make your changes based on the code base. Yeah, no problem, Patzel. Good luck. Good luck. And hey, Viswarit from offshore India. Do Copilot always are in Windows, not somewhere else? I'm not sure what the question is, man. Could you maybe rephrase the question? I'm not sure what you mean there. And hello, Victor from Mexico. Greetings, greetings, greetings. So, make your changes based on the code base. Below is an example template that you should follow. I take inspiration from the structure and types. And the code block. There we go. Push. Great. So yes, for anyone thinking, we are absolutely using Copilot to update our custom instructions so the Copilot has a better idea of what Copilot needs to do. What are the most useful coding MCP services? Well, obviously the first one has to be GitHub, right? The GitHub MCP server. Um, that's one that I use a lot. I've also been using Playwright a lot recently because of the Copilot coding agent, and that one's been a great one because it's almost like the agent or the AI can now see what it's doing, so that helps a lot. Otherwise, I kind of experiment with what you think makes sense for what you're doing. Like in the past, and I was going to do a bit on it today. Um, I used what was it? The sequential thinking tool, I think, and that was interesting because it almost prompts the AI to kind of think and reflect, and then build out that plan and think a bit methodically. So that one was an interesting one. It really just depends on what you're building, because really, where I found that it can be interesting is when you want to integrate with like an external data store, like my product team, maybe they host their stuff in Notion, for example, and I need to go and pull information from that, or whatever it may be. That was a use case that we demoed at Build. So it really depends on what you're kind of what you're doing. Wow, lots of questions in the chat here, folks. Let me jump back here. So, greetings from Bharat. Hello from Burnley in the UK. Thanks, Tim. Welcome. Kura, greetings from Japan. Welcome. Are we uploading PRDs before operating as you go, or doing it after the project? So for this project, I did not have PRDs, but you could create a custom instruction to say, make sure you update a PRD as you implement features or something like that. I have done that kind of product requirement-driven development approach with Copilot for a few other projects. It works pretty well, actually. In fact, I did that on, what was the other project we did the other week? It was the GitHub demo CLI extension. And we maintain the PRD doc, or rather Copilot maintained the PRD doc as it made changes then as well. So yeah, that was pretty good. Copilot equals Microsoft Windows. No, Ivan. No, don't get confused with Microsoft Copilot, by the way. We're talking about GitHub Copilot here. GitHub Copilot is available in multiple editors, in VS Code, in the JetBrains suite of editors, in Xcode, in IntelliJ, in NeoVim, I guess, as well. There's a few different ones, and that's across different operating systems, different platforms. Is this Copilot really familiar, that prior version? Sorry, not understanding the question there, Vishwajit. And hello from Hawaii, Safina. Amazing. I hope the weather is wonderful there. Imagine it. It must be. And yes, Ivan, that if you're using Windows, then absolutely Copilot can work there, no problem. But yeah, it's available on multiple platforms there. Okay, cool. So while we've been chatting, Copilot's been working away, and you can see here that it has prompted, or suggested, I should say, a new set of updates. There's a TypeScript-based GitHub action that validates whether specified files exist in a repository. It takes a comma-separated list of files, validates their existence, failing the workflow if any files are missing. Please follow these guidelines when contributing. Run format right to ensure consistent code formatting and prettier. Check for ESLint violations to ensure all tests pass. I've got one more that I'm going to add there as well. Build npm run package. Is that right, actually? Is that right? That is right. Okay. I won't doubt you. npm run test or npm run ci dash test? I don't know. Why did I got... I don't know why I've got the both of them there, but fair enough. Because they're configured exactly the same. npm run coverage, full check, local testing. That's the one that I want to do. I also want to add run npm run local action to. There we go. We're going to add that in there as well. That's the development flow. The repository structure is that. It's fairly lightweight. And key guidelines: follow TypeScript strict mode and best practices. Use clear descriptive variable and function names. Add TS doc comments. Yeah. Write comprehensive unit tests. Yeah. Keep functions focused and manageable. Use consistent error handling. Ah, cool. Is that core? Oh, large core. Dot set fail. We don't use that anyway right now. Interested to see how that goes. Validate inputs and provide meaningful error messages. Use actions core for all GitHub actions creations. Yeah, maintain backwards compatibility. Great. I'm just going to ask about this line. Can you expand on the recommendation or actions core? Why should we use that? Please link me to any relevant docs if you can. I cannot see it used in the project currently. Please point me to any example where I'm using it. So again, you can see how the way I'm using Copilot is being that assistant, being that peer to help me. So it's written a much better custom instruction file here. And yeah, I'm just trying to see. So we do use it. Because it's not the @action/core. Of course, it's not Chris. There we go. But this is why, why we use tools like Copilot. It's there to help me. So great. That all makes sense to me. So I'm going to hit keep. That looks good. So great. We're halfway there. What we can also do then is we will take a look at the docs. Where are the docs? There they are. Great. So the other thing is about pre-installing dependencies in GitHub Copilot's environment. So when you use the Copilot coding agent, like any of us, it needs to have access to the right tools and the right things installed. So the Copilot coding agent runs in a GitHub action runner, effectively. And so we need to make sure it has the right things installed. So the way that we can do that is by using this Copilot setup steps YAML file. And so I'm just going to copy this example here. And I'm going to use that setup steps.yaml as my starter. And to be honest, I think that is probably all that we would need to do. We need to set up node instead of oh no, we did set up node, sorry. Yeah, set up node with the node version, which is down there, so that's good. I'm just going to update that for consistency. And then we'll install our dependencies. Yeah, and that's all we need to do, actually. So that's good. So that's basically all we need to do for our Copilot setup steps. What node version did I pin to? 21. We should probably pump that, actually. And Copilot, tell me what the latest is. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Is that right? That's not right. I was going to say, I didn't think it actually went and looked, but you can do things like, let's see, download, copy link. Based on that, what's all the latest versions of Node? So again, just notice how I'm ever so slightly tweaking my prompts. Interesting. It's really wanting to open simple browser. Oh. Edge. Anyway, 24.3.0. 24.3.0. Ooh, there we go. I'm gonna Say add coding agent files. We're gonna update that node version. I guess there's some kind of linting fixes there. Copilot instructions. Oh, what happened to the end file actually? That's get ignored, isn't it? Okay, that's fine though. We will do this. Even though .end is on the get ignore list, I'd like to force and connectivity. Okay. Add .end for local users. Okay, good. Oh, I committed the other files as well with that. Oh well, not the best commit message, but never mind. Never mind. Interesting. So how do you get Copilot to stop referencing materials? For example, I added an image for context earlier in the chat thread. In fact, let me bring your question up on screen, Safina. So how do you get Copilot to stop referencing materials? For example, I added an image for context earlier in the chat thread, but a few prompts later, it uses it as a reference when it's no longer related. So there's two ways that I would potentially approach that. Number one, is, let me look at a longer kind of conversation here. When you mouse over some of the things, you can go and hit that kind of cross to remove it from the chat, like that. The other one is maybe you just spin up an entirely new chat thread as well. So that way, you're only bringing in the context that you need. So that's a really important part of working with these AI tools, is bringing enough context for the task at hand. So a really great question there, Safina. Thank you for asking. Okay, so we'll add the coding agent files there. Great. We'll create the pull request. We'll have Copilot help us with that. Yeah, that looks good. Local testing, update node version, and method coding agent. It's great. Done. Good. So let's go take a look at that. Oop, there we go. And hopefully, all being well, everything passes and we have a wonderful time. Uh-oh. My tests have failed. Oh, it's the formatting. Okay, that's fine. That's no problem. In fairness, I probably should have done this before I committed anyway. So that's on me. We can run all. There we go. Great. Yeah. Excellent. There we go. And we go back to the PR. And let's go see. And again, we Safina, interesting question again. So using the agent, how would you use outdated reference material? Could it? So in VS Code, the way the agent mode works is very similar to chat conversations. So it's based on whatever's in that chat thread. Um, there's no way for you to kind of flush that context midway through, like it's kind of part of that process. So it's about giving the right needed context for when you start off. And similar with Copilot Coding Agent as well. It's kind of more, working on its own at that point. So the way you give context there is in the GitHub issue. Um, but I haven't seen scenarios where it's been a problem with either of those personally. Yeah, worth giving it a try. That's what I would say. To create a new email with Copilot, how can someone do it for new learners? I'm not sure that this is the Copilot you're after here, Ernest. So GitHub Copilot is there to help with like coding activities and programming. So I'm not sure, what you're kind of looking at there for that one. Oh no, let's see. What have we got? We're breaking things. We're breaking things. It's not good. Of course, this is the way we fix things, right? Is we come in and we say, please fix the linting issues. What else did we have? It was Markdown, check of an env. Ah, very good. Yes. Yeah, we don't have any permissions actually on that one. Good catch. Okay. Try that out. Mm. Again, this is why quality checks are so important and why we still use that pull request flow. Because, we want to ensure our code adheres to a certain set of standards. And this helps us doing that. So yeah, the quality checks are important. Right, missing top level heading, ordered list numbers, numbering issues. Okay, so it just has the bullet point 1 rather than numbered list. Okay, fair enough. Then the first line in the file should be the top level heading, which it got there. Then it's going to check in the end file. Because it was dashes instead of, it was one dash instead of an underscore. Okay. Did I misname it somewhere? I feel like that would have been a me thing, but anyway. Oh. And then let's see. Yeah, let's do that. I don't think Markdown Lint is available. Yeah. So you need to go and install that Copilot. That's an interesting approach. Just okay, there was the witch there as well. Let me do this quickly before we do anything. Is baseline. Just want to check. Uh, Where's my .env gone? Good. Input required. Okay. Fine. So I think yeah, Ernest, your questions are very are not relevant here, I think. Like talk about kind of random apps and those pieces. So I'm not sure this is the right place for those questions, I'm afraid. Yeah. Okay, good. Fine. npm run all. Okay, that looks like it's working now, I think. Okay, I'm not going to worry about that. Let's fix those linting issues. Good. And we got the response there from Copilot. Good. So, third time lucky, we will run our linting fixes here. All right. Now we're just waiting on that linting code base check. So while that's happening in the background, let me go and show you something else I was working on here. And I'm just going to restart that code space in the meantime. So you may remember from a few months back on one of the streams, I was talking about Copilot Vision and how we could take a screenshot and build an app based on that kind of image or that screenshot. So I was studying for an MBA, and one of the things that I wanted to build was a mini app to help me when I'm doing things like competitive analysis. So looking at like strategy, looking at potential threats and opportunities and those things. And so what I thought was there was a visualization called a trend radar. Could we make that into an app? So we did that a couple of months ago. We converted that from an image into an app and built it using Next.js, TypeScript, Tailwind, Stan, Jest, ESLint. But what I was thinking earlier was the way that I add a point right now is AI evolution, something like that, is only through this panel on the right-hand side. So it's that, the likelihood, relevant, we're maybe not prepared for that. But you can see that dot appears on screen at that point. And that's fine, that's a nice kind of interaction. But I was thinking, wouldn't it be nice if I could just click on the diagram and then a dot appears and then we can go and edit it? So that's what I started asking Copilot Coding Agent to go and do. So started off with a GitHub issue. And again, this repo is public, so you can go and take a look at this. So we've got this issue here that I had Copilot actually help me create as well. So we want to be able to place a point by clicking or tapping on the diagram. So the point should be placed in the specific coordinates, drop-down should be updated, the acceptance criteria, and the references there then as well. Copilot Coding Agent, as we're used to, went ahead, created a pull request, and you can see here there's done a few things. It's gone and done that click to place interaction, summarized what the technical implementation was, how it did it, what the test and quality was. But you'll also notice one of the things that it can now do is take screenshots. So this is that whole Playwright MCP server stuff that I mentioned a bit earlier. So by default, Copilot Coding Agent now has that installed. And so it will be able to start navigating and browsing through the app. As you can see here, it's added screenshots to my issue as well. So here's the empty diagram. After it clicks a certain point, it's gone and added that dot then as well. Then what that integrated workflow looks like. So the fact it's kind of more on that technological side means it's got that technological category selected in the drop down there. So it gives me a quick way to review those kind of changes and what's happened there as well. And so that was cool. And like anything, I need to go and iterate on that, work on that. So when we click, I wanted it to go and, as a user, I want to go and update that point. I want to go and add the name. I want to go and change the size of the point, the likelihood, the color of the point, etc. And the user experience was a bit kind of wonky there. So I had the add point above the edit point in my user experience. So I just asked Copilot to go and make those tweaks with that first request. And then I was like, well, actually, now that we can go and add points on the diagram, I want to be able to drag and drop points around as well to edit them and update them. So can you go and make those changes? So added that as a comment. Copilot gets to work again. And it's really cool, actually. In fact, let me go back to the first session. There we go. Let me go back to that first session. And what you'll see as we scroll through the session is we've got the thought, we've got the progress, we've got Copilot editing, and we know it can run builds and tests and things like that. As we scroll down, you can see the Playwright things running then as well. Somewhere. Here we go. Call to the Playwright browser navigate. So we're navigating to the localhost 3000. We're going to go take a screenshot. We're going to do a browser click. And then it's kind of doing its thoughts as it goes through as well. So the point was created when I clicked on the ring diagram. Point was placed in the tech quadrant as expected from clicking in that area. Yes, Sophina, I am saying that you can give an agent an image and it'll build from there. That is exactly what I did with that a few months back. And there's an episode somewhere on the YouTube channel in the playlist. So go and take a look at that. But yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. So yeah, you can see how Playwright, or rather the agent could then go and use Playwright to go and navigate through the local app running. And check that things are working as expected. So yeah, what I did then was I just sent a few comments back and forth to Copilot to go and iterate on that. It, added that point editing workflow. It added the drag and drop, added some new tests, made sure it was still compliant with the ESLint stuff. And then there were some additional things that I noticed which were kind of annoying UX experiences. So when the user closes the edit point section, the add point section was automatically minimized. So I was like, we probably want that re-expanded so I can go and use that as a user if I need to. And then the drag and drop wasn't quite working correctly, so I just needed it to go and fix a bug there. Which it went and did for us. That was all good. And then if the user hits the delete point, then I want that same thing to go and happen then again. So if you close the panel, it expands the add panel. If you hit delete point, I want it to expand the add panel. And then I started trying to do something with fixing the edit points and some state management across things. So it was a lot of back and forth. You can see I'm iteratively working with Copilot here in the comments. I did try and get it to do some drag and drop in a touch screen on mobile. It gave it a go, but it didn't quite work as expected just because of how the kind of site is built. So I did ask it to roll back those changes and to remove that implementation if it felt it needed to. So with that, that's what I worked on this morning. So you can see right now on the version that's live on the website. So Chris Reddington's at github.io/trends-radar. If you go to that, you'll see right now. You try click on that. Doesn't do anything. Can't drag and drop the image, the points or anything. Doesn't work. Let's go to our code space. Let's go and run that instance. Starting. There we go. Good. And we'll go and open that in browser. Connecting. There we go. Right, so same site, just local. Gonna click there, gonna click there, gonna click there, gonna drag and drop you over to here, put you over there. So you can see that we got the kind of check that it's actually in the grid and not going over it as well, which is nice. So you can see we've got this really nice experience. Now, what I mentioned is we've got on the right-hand side this add new point. And we need to actually fix that as well, to be fair. This is currently appearing below the add new point section, so I need to go and work on that. But when we click on that close button, it automatically goes and expands that box back. You got the add new point section. You go and make some changes to this point here. Oh, that is a little bug, I think. That's a little bug. That was working earlier, so I've clearly changed something there. But anyway, you can kind of get the point of how that's all working. The dragging and dropping and things there as well. So yeah, that was pretty cool. Being able to use Copilot to make some of those UI changes and kind of make this interactive diagram here as well. So still a little bit of work that I need to do, particularly when a user hits that update, and clearly there's some UI things that I just need to update on this panel. But yeah, that was a bit of fun this morning before going live. So let's jump back. Let's go and see how we're getting on. Great, our check's all passed. So we can see here that for this validate file exists action, we created this PR to add the coding agent parts, and the check's all passed. That all looks good. So we can go and merge that PR now. So that looks good to me. And now I'm just going to go to my action. I'm going to find the Copilot setup steps workflow and just run it just to make sure that everything is... we did already check it. There we go. Yes, because we had the trigger in there to check that everything works as expected. So that all is working good. So at this point then, we could go and do something with Copilot Coding Agent. So let me see. What's the coverage like on this? Patches, coverage. Okay, we got 100%, so we can't do anything there. What technical debt exists in this project? There we go, let's try this. So, what technical debt exists in this project? Please give me a prioritized list of areas we need to focus on. I would like to create a GitHub issue with the top 2 or 3 items. Please include a brief problem statement, set of acceptance criteria, pointers on what files needs to be added, updated. Okay. We'll just zoom in a bit. Make sure that's very readable. There we go. So you can see it's reading through the various files, just trying to make sense and understand what's there. Oh, well, try again there and carry on. Reading the README. Reading our test. I'm very intrigued to see what it comes back with because it's quite a small project. So yeah, we'll see what it says. Oh, you probably don't want to read that stuff. Actually, Copilot. Oh. No. Well, there is some stuff maybe in the main. So actually, is my dependable? Yeah, it should all be up to date. Interesting. Let me see, what have I done? Package. Is that because of a downstream? I think that might be why. I think that might be why we're getting the issue. Yeah, because we're not actually using OctaKit at all. So yeah, it's clearly a web dependency, so fine. Incorrect package metadata from branding. Yeah, we'll update that. Risk contact. Good. It's updated that. Cool, good. Please create a GitHub issue in Markdown. We want to issues 1, 3, 4. Oh, uses node 20. Okay. We'll just work on those three anyway for now. So, there we go. We're creating those three items. Sorry, creating GitHub issues for those three items. Oh, that wasn't the one that I wanted. Oh, I did say issue 1, didn't I? All right. Right. Romance issues 2, 3, and 4. Please feel free to create one overall issue. So is there a difference between the way Copilot asks versus agent sees the code? I've used Codebase today, and Copilot said I needed to add in individual files. Does agent see the files? It depends on what you want to do. So agent can go and explore. So think of agent as a bit more like capable. It's able to go and do things on its own. Whereas ask is very much like you're kind of guiding it, and I think kind of read only unless you go into edit mode. But you could use the hashtag codebase variable. I'm assuming you're using Visual Studio Code, by the way, Sophina. But you could use that variable to kind of bring in the context of the code base. Otherwise, there's importing those individual files exactly. So either way would work. I'll do that. Yeah, that looks good. Oh, oops. No, that. Oh, and there we go. That one. Right. There we go. We'll go and copy that. We'll go and put that as an issue over here. Yeah, I'm using Visual Studio Code as well here, Sophina. So that's why I was just double checking, making sure we're kind of talking the same language. I don't think we need to go to version 1.0.0. I'm going to make it version 0.0.7. Get rid of that there. That looks good. And we'll put that like that. And create the issue. Good. Good. And finally, we can assign it to Copilot. There we go. Good. Yeah, so at this point, Ben, it will go and how do I manage versioning? That is a wonderful question. I imagine that is honestly a stream all on its own, and we're probably coming to the end of this one, so maybe we'll go and approach that in a separate stream, I think. But for today, what we've done here is we've just created this issue. So now what it'll go and do, it's spun up that pull request for us. And at this point, it will start using those things that we created a bit earlier on. So it will try and create that session for us, so that kind of workflow gets spun up with those Copilot setup steps. So here we go. And it's already started, but you can see it checked out the code, it set up Node, it installed our JavaScript dependencies. So now effectively Copilot has its own computer with all of that stuff set up on it, ready to go. And it'll be using the custom instructions to go and guide what it needs to go and do. So it knows this is a repository from GitHub Action to go and validate whether a file exists and all of these kind of things. So it just helps us set Copilot up in such a way that we are setting it up for success. But this is why it's important to do some of these bits and pieces before we start using Coding Agent. And yes, Ivan's exactly correct. You can find the video for these on LinkedIn afterwards, or you can find it on YouTube as well. So I recommend making a markdown file before making a big change. Not necessarily tech-friendly. The only reason I just did that there is because I like using Copilot to help me create GitHub issues, because it helps me just kind of structure, rather than having a one-line explainer of, let's go work on these features, it helps me with a bit more detail. And then it gives me a starting point to go and make the changes from. So that's why I created the markdown file. Depends on your own kind of preferences. Like I think Safina was asking earlier about like product requirement documents and whether I kind of maintain and keep those. I have done on some other projects. I know some people prefer to work in that way. So it kind of depends on what you like and how you prefer to work. So you could have the markdown file there and use that as context, for example. That's absolutely an option. Hi, Sohaib. So yeah, what it's doing in these first steps is it's exploring the repository, understanding the current state, and then what we'll find is it'll go and create a plan based on the GitHub issue. Here we go, here's that thought. So now it understands the current state, it's gonna look at those three issues, so the package metadata thing, and the documentation inconsistency of what it says in the README versus the action YAML, and then the fact we're missing some input validation there as well. And tests and builds are working fine, so I need to make surgical changes to fix these issues. Fix package JSON metadata to be accurate, update the README to be required files instead of files, add input validation, add tests for the edge cases, ensure the changes all work together. So then what it does is it updates the pull request as it goes through. So as we go back, you can see that it's updated almost this kind of checklist of what it's working on. So these are my package metadata fixes, and this is what it needs to go and do. Documentation consistency, testing and verification. So it'll go and kind of update those checkboxes then as it progresses through the PR and to keep things up to date. Now remember, of course, like this is intended to be like an asynchronous way of working. Like you wouldn't really do what we're doing here, kind of sitting and watching it. But I always kind of like to kind of show this off a little bit just to help everyone learn to see what's kind of going on with the coding agent. So what is it doing? So it's already updated the package JSON, updated the validate file exists, GitHub action, updated the URLs correctly, updated with some good keywords there, nice. Changing the Node version there, interesting. Updating the README, with the correct properties. Good. And there we go. Now, rather than just doing the file split and trim, it can't be empty. So I guess that was a scenario before that could have happened. And if the file list length is equal to 0, yeah, cool, fine. Now let's add comprehensive tests for the validations. Just let me check the existing test. Good. So it's going to verify that the empty input throws the appropriate error, verifies that white space only input throws the appropriate error, verifies that input with only commas throws the appropriate error. So it's being pretty rigorous in its checks here, in its tests. Mixed valid and empty entries are handled correctly. Yeah, good. And it's adding further validation error handling in main. I guess, yeah. Checking that it rolls up correctly, I suppose. Okay. All tests are passing. Run linting. Good. Let's compile it again. Let's run a full test to make sure the coverage is maintained. Yeah. I just need to update my firewall because it wasn't able to generate the badge because we've restricted what it's allowed to go and access. As you can see, Copilot's just going to carry on anyway. So we'll run the bash command. Yep, that's exactly how you should be running that. Oh. Yeah, it already exists. Yeah, good. Yeah. Great. So we increased that from 75 to 90% on the branch coverage. And there we go. So it's gone ahead. It's updated all of those bits. Added 6 new tests. Great. Let me verify the files are committed to ensure you have the minimal expected changes. Great. So that generally looks good to me. If we jump back to the PR, you'll see now that it's gone ahead and checked all of those items off. So now what I expect Copilot will do is one kind of final update to the pull request body. What's it doing? Why are you doing that? Manual test JS. Okay. All the changes have been implemented successfully, comprehensively tested. Final summary. Yep, changed the package name correctly. Updated to reflect the functionality. Homepage, repository URL, bug URL set to the author. Updated the version. Yeah. Fixed all README examples. Yeah. Comprehensive usage, great. Added section explaining validation behavior and error messages, cool. Empty input validation, format the validation, smart filtering, new tests. And that's what changed. Okay. Good. So you can see how, in the space of 10 minutes while I've been sat here kind of looking and seeing what's going on, it's done a good amount there for us. That's been good to see. Go back. back into that new session. Make sure that it finishes. And what we want to see is the pull request body updating, and then we know Copilot's work is done then. There we go. It looks like Copilot's done there. Go back to the PR. There we go. We can see the checklist is gone. This is what it's done. Before it was that. Now it's accurately got that in place. Yeah. Great. That all looks good. The firewall rule blocked is going to be that image.shields.io, which we could go and update. Let me go and look at the files changed quickly. Yeah, so it updates the README. That's that all in there. The input validation. That's the new test file in there for us, or updates the test file, I should say. Looks good. And the main test file in there. Looks good. And then those are the kind of the distribution files then, which we need to include. And validate file exists. Yeah, that looks nice. And the updated file validation. Cool. Looks good to me. So let's go and do one final thing, which is approving the workflows to run, because we don't want to just go and run those GitHub Action workflows without checking what the code is doing. And then this allows us to go and run all of our checks that we've seen run a little bit earlier. So our linting, all of those things, just to make sure that everything is absolutely working as expected. And then that's our final quality gate before we go and merge it in. We'll go and mark that as ready for review. And assuming that it's all good, we're going to go and auto merge that as well, I think. Give it a sec just to check this all goes as expected. Great. Looking good so far. Oh, I was waiting for the Markdown one to come back. Let's see. Some Markdown linting. Let's just copy that. There we go. Then what I will do is Copilot. Okay, how about a some area from linting. Comments. There we go. So yeah, then what that'll do is it'll kick off another session with Copilot then to go and fix that. I could go and do that manually, but I think at this point, probably we want to go and wrap the stream up because, wow, it's only been 2 hours. We're an hour 45. So, what have we done today? We recapped the announcements over last week, which there have been a few. Then we introduced this project of just going ahead and dating the Copilot custom instructions file, adding the Copilot setup steps as well. Went through the process to go and update all of that and fix the linting issues and all the things that came along with that. And then we jumped across to the other project that I was working on. We jumped across to that trend radar, showed how we did some UI updates, some of the new UI capabilities that Copilot Coding Agent has because of the Playwright MCP server. And then we went back, we finished off the validate file exists GitHub action. And what we did was we created a new GitHub issue with some things to go and improve. So the package JSON, making sure the metadata was good, some inconsistencies in our README with documentation, and just improving some validation as well. And Copilot is just wrapping up the final bits of our linting errors in the background there. So there we go, another productive session, folks. So just a reminder, Copilot Coding Agent is now available on Copilot Pro and Copilot Business as well. So if you are on one of those SKUs, you can now go and try out Copilot Coding Agent. So do consider giving that a go. So with that, hopefully today's been useful again, folks. We have a couple more streams going on tonight. We have... I think it's at 2 p.m. Eastern time. I'm just going to double check. So that will be at 7 p.m. my time. So maybe it's not quite 2 p.m. Eastern. Time zones are hard. Oh, no, it is 2 p.m. Eastern. 5-hour time zone difference. So 7 p.m. my time, 2 p.m. Eastern. Kevin will be on building a party game. Then we have another one on at 8 p.m. So that'll be 3 p.m. Eastern, I guess. Jueves de Quack, that will be with, I guess, I assume Andrea, who will be talking about that one. So great. We will, we'll have a few more of those today, a bit later. Otherwise, check in same time, same place next week. We're on LinkedIn, we're on YouTube, we're on Twitch. We do these live. So if there's certain things you want to see, if there's certain questions you want to ask, please let us know, because then we can try and steer things in the direction that you want to go as well. With that, folks, as always, thank you. Thank you for being with us today and for the great questions and interaction. And otherwise, I'll see you next week. Have a good one, folks. Bye.